we're going to be doing today is putting on a glass bowl fuel filter onto my carburetor. So all we really got to do is take out this line, put in a new one, and put on the filter. So this is the filter I'm going to be installing. It's just a AC glass bowl fuel filter. I've already got the fittings installed needed for putting this onto the carburetor. We got 1/8 NPT, male to male, to connect the filter to the carb, and then 1/8 to the 5/16 fuel line, which is the 90-degree bracket right there. Making sure we got the in and out lined up. This and the line should be all we need. Alright, so we're going to start down here by the fuel pump. Got the good old double box end and the double line wrench here. It should be straightforward. Replaced this fuel pump fairly recently, and by that I mean within this decade. So it's coming apart not too bad. Just pulled it in, so there's going to be some fuel, but down here it's not a problem. I like to do the bottom one first because the exhaust is all on the other side, so this lets all the fuel leak out into the place where it's not so much a problem. Alright, now to the other side. Now we got the carburetor. A few things to go ahead and get rid of here. The heat riser for the choke. There's the fuel line. And because we removed the bottom, there's not a bunch of fuel dripping out. Alright, and then the fitting. There's going to be a little bit of fuel seepage here, but not too bad. It's not all pouring out. Cool. This is the fuel line we removed. It's actually a pretty nice bend. Because of it's pretty old, and that last bend is what goes to the carburetor, and it's not quite. Like, I'd have to unbend the tubing in order to get it to go into the fuel filter. I'm going to go ahead and put in some new line. I measured this out to be what I need is to be about 32 inches. They sell 30 and 40 inch lengths, so I got this and a flare tool kit. We're going to go ahead and make a new line. So first I'm going to go ahead and put this in the car, get it all bent up until we have that last straight into the fuel filter. It's this guy right here. And then we'll cut it to length. Alright, so the very first thing we got to do is have a 90 come up from there, heading straight up. So I got my tube bending tool here. Now, one thing I notice is a lot of times when I try to bend, this end here will slip in and then it's just going to kink. So for this first bend, I've got it lined right up against the nut there, and that'll prevent it from sliding. And then when I do every other bend, I'm going to do it on the bench in the vise to prevent the sliding. It's also very important to have it on the right size. So this will be bend number 1. Alright, that turned out pretty good. Because yeah, the last thing you want to do is kink it, because then you're going to have fun. So then I go ahead and pop this right in here. Alright, snug that down. We're going to go ahead and mark where I need to bend it. Alright, so I know the radius of the bend is going to be about, well, I guess the chord of the bend probably going to end up being about this much, so I'm going to go ahead and try to line it up with this. I'm going to set the bend, start right around there, and that should set us right above the vacuum line. So I'm going to take, and then I have this marked on the outside here. That way I know exactly how I want to bend it when I take it to the bench. Alright, so I have the next bend marked. Now I want it to go like that. So this is how I want the bend to go. Now like I said, sometimes it'll slip here, so I'm going to do, I'm going to put it in the bench, like so, making sure it's lined up how I want it, and then this will prevent the tube from sliding. And of course I have to rotate it. This thing's in the way. Put that there to hold it. Alright, now we've got our next bend. Let's go and see how it looks in the car. Alright, so we're going to put this in here. Alright, now I'm just threading this in because as we can see it's not quite straight. There's only so much you can do, but I'll be able to twist it. Lean in. We have a pretty good length here, so I should be able to do a decent twist. Alright. Cool. So now that actually looks pretty solid. Go ahead and do a little more bending just to get a little closer to the engine here. Alright, so next we're going to make this bend here. So I'm going to put on the fuel filter. Okay, so next we've got the fuel filter and associated fittings. So we're going to be focusing on this part right here. I mean, everything aimed. Okay. So I took the glass bowl off, so I just have this to deal with. Now, I've been told that you're not supposed to use Teflon because it's not fuel resistant, but I always have and haven't had an issue, and I have a book from the 70s about Corvair leaks, and it specifically says to use Teflon tape on the pipe threads that go from the fuel filter to the, or from the fuel pump to the teeth. So I don't know, I haven't had any issues. Don't leave your feedback in the comments below and see what's going on. Maybe it's a special type of Teflon tape. Alright, that's pretty tight in there. Don't want to over tighten it. Just want to make sure that nothing's leaking. I can probably go one more turn. Alright, there we go. Alright, so I'm going to have my bowl here sitting nice and straight. I have this fitting all lined up. So I'm going to try to bend it to get the line facing that. Now I'm going to live dangerously here and do it without the bench vise. Just being very careful not to bend or kink the tube. Because this way I can line this up so that hopefully it goes straight in to that fitting. Alright, not bad. So now that I have the bend started where I want, I'll just go ahead and pull the line out wherever I set my wrench, and then we'll bend it on the bench. Alright, so now we have that bend started. So I go ahead and sit this in there. I'm going to pick up where we left off. It's a little fun with it hanging off like that. Alright, so that's where we left off on the bend. So I'm going to pop this in the vise to, again, prevent it from slipping. And we can finish this guy up. Alright, let's see how it fits. Okay, next one. Line this up and see how everything went together. Alrighty. So now we've got this all lined up. Make a mark and we'll cut this. And that's actually lined up pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and put mark right here. And that's where I'm going to cut it and flare it. Alright, so now we've got our mark here where we want to cut. So I'm just going to throw this in the vise here. I've got the nut right here, so should be good to go on that. And my high quality tubing cutter here. And I gave myself an extra about 1/2 inch, so we should have some wiggle room. Go ahead, cut this here. Go ahead and put my everything else we're doing just right here. So it's all nice and aesthetic for the frame here. I am a cinematographer. I know there are fancier tube cutter tools out there, but this works just fine. Alright, so now I have a nice clean cut. Now, the keen observers of you will notice this is a double flaring toolkit. The idea is you use these little dies, you put them in here, you crush it, it makes a bubble flare, and then you fold it in and it makes a double flare. So I have some extra tubing. I was using it to practice that, and this is what I got after the bubble flare portion. So the idea is you're supposed to clamp it into this thing and have it stick up to match the depth of the die. Right? And so you're supposed to clamp this down, make sure that it's the right depth, tighten these down, and I tightened these down very hard using a screwdriver in there to get it nice and taut. Pop that die in there, squish it, it's supposed to be a bubble flare. I had no such luck. As you can see by the innumerate amount of scrapes on the side of this pipe, it just kind of forced it down. So we'll be doing a single flare. This double flaring tool doesn't work. This isn't a brake line, this is a fuel line, so that should be fine. So go ahead, throw this in there, and just for shits and giggles, I'm going to pretend like I'm going to actually try to do a double flare here. Maybe it'll work this time, I doubt it. So get that lined up. Got the low battery warning, so we'll see if this works. Doing this so it's nice and tight, so not being tight enough is not an excuse. Erasing the camera battery here. Okay, let's tighten down all the way. Pop that on there. Nice and even. Oh hey, this one actually looks like it's working. Well, that's stuck in there. never had this happen before, so hey, maybe they've actually got a bubble in here now. Oh, look at that. I've actually got a little bubble flare. Don't know if that's coming through on the camera, but hey, it actually worked. So now, we'll pop this on here. Then fold it in. Look at that, I'm actually a double flare. Wow, it actually worked. I've used this tool probably half a dozen times and have not had a successful bubble flare. That time, I doubt it's not going to focus now. Now it actually has a proper double flare. It is a little scraped up, but I'll clean that up and then we should be good to go. Alright, well you folks are evidently good luck because I've never had a double flaring work with that tool. So now, we've got our fuel line all ready to rock and roll. So that's on there. And then we'll go ahead and zoom in up here where the action is. Ended up lining up pretty good. Nice double flare on there. First successful double flare in my career. And I kind of wiggle the line, just helps everything kind of sit in. Alright. Snug that up. Come down here. Snug up the fuel. Alrighty. Alright. Good. This over just it looks a little nicer. This bad boy on there. Now this is the interchangeable filter element here. Slides in the bottom. It's a friction fit. Go ahead. Put this on. Glass bowl. Alright, I got that started. Now hopefully this will fit past everything. Look at that. Factory fit. I'm going to tighten this down. Okay. Alright. And yes, I know this isn't the factory air filter. I have a factory air cleaner. I'm just missing the bracket that connects it to the exhaust manifold. I found a bracket, but the air cleaner I have is the oil bath air cleaner, which is a little shorter than. There's another version that had like a paper element and an oil bath thing. It's like taller, and so I'm missing. I have the short bracket. I'm gonna need the long one. Alright, looks like everything's all hooked up and ready to rock. Let's go ahead and start her up and see if we have any leaks. So I'll go ahead, get this set up here. Okay, there's a leak down by the fuel pump. Let's see which side it's on. It looks like it's the pipe thread side, not the line. Yeah, I'll try tightening this down more. Because yeah, I mean, it's always better to start a little loose and then tighten her in, because you can always tighten it more, but once you tighten it too much, you're boned. Yeah, this is going quite a bit in now that it's wet with fuel. Alright, let's see if that's good. Okay. Alright, let's see if it leaks. Alright. No more leaks. No leaks up here. I think we're good. And yeah, I'm probably going to want to pull off the carburetor top plate, because chances are there's some crud built up in there. Yeah. Good. Fuel filter, everything all hooked up. Got a little bit of an oil leak, but that just comes with the territory. And yeah, that line looks pretty nice. I'm pretty happy with it.